Have you ever started a diet only to be derailed by the feeling that you're going to starve? Hunger will sideline the best diet plans, and willpower usually isn't enough to overcome it. So what is the secret? I'll give you a hint. It's not drinking more water. Stay tuned so you can learn how to stick to a diet and not get hungry. I'm Dr. Vicki Petz Casper. I practiced obstetrics and gynecology for 20 years until I landed on the other side of the sheets as a very sick patient. When my own body betrayed me, I took a handful of pills to manage my disease and another handful to counteract the side effects. My health was out of control. Through surgery, medications, and lots of prayers, I regained my strength only to face another diagnosis. My doctor challenged me to make radical changes through lifestyle medicine. Now I feel great and I want to help you make changes that make a difference. Healthy Looks Great on You podcast takes you to many medical schools so you can learn the power of lifestyle medicine. If you're ready to take control of your health, you're in the right place. Whether you're focused on prevention or you're trying to manage a condition, I'll give you practical steps to start your own journey toward better health, because healthy looks great on you. This is episode 130, The Secret to Staying on a Diet. Whatever diet you decide is right for you, hunger is your worst enemy. If only you could eat until you feel full and stay feeling full. Wait, you can. I'll let you in on a little secret. The key is fiber. Every year, 45 million Americans go on a diet. Whether it's to lose weight or get healthy, most people are lucky to last 6 months. And if it's a strict diet, it's even less than that. There are a lot of good reasons to diet besides losing weight, like managing high blood pressure, controlling diabetes, lowering cholesterol, and preventing dementia and cancer. And if you're wondering how different diets stack up, listen to episode 128. But today, we're here to talk about preventing failure. That's right, there is a way to avoid falling off the wagon. The secret is to eat foods that make you feel full so you don't get hungry. I know, there are lots of other reasons that diets fail besides hunger, like busyness. Running in on 2 wheels because work was crazy and now you've got a family who's hangry and you haven't made any plans for dinner. So you go out. Or there's sometimes the issue that healthy food like fresh fruits and vegetables are expensive and a box of macaroni and cheese is cheap. And then there's the birthday party or other social occasion where you just can't resist the cake and punch and a scoop of ice cream. And not to forget about emotional and mental health factors, as well as just plain old relapsing into the same habits, like driving through Starbucks for a caramel macchiato. But one thing is for sure, if you feel like you're starving, you'll eventually eat whatever you can find. Would a feeling of your stomach being full set you up for success? For sure. Have you ever said, "I'm so full, I can't take another bite"? You could try tricking yourself and filling your belly with water by drinking from a giant Stanley cup. And maybe that will convince your body that you're not really hungry, you're just thirsty. Okay, if you're interested in the science of why that doesn't work, then you might want to listen to episode 124, Myths and Facts about Water, Weight Loss, and Health. There's also surgery where bands and sleeves constrict the volume of the stomach, so that's an option. Plus, there are weight loss shots that keep your stomach from emptying so it always feels full. Or there's my choice, fiber. Not only does fiber keep your belly feeling full, it keeps your bowels regular and promotes a healthy gut microbiome, which can influence autoimmune and allergic responses as well as help maintain a healthy weight. Let's go to mini medical school right off the bat today and learn a little bit more about the fascinating world of the gut microbiome. I always like to start with breaking down words to make them simple to understand. Micro means itsy bitsy teeny tiny. You know, the things you can't see without a microscope. Biome is a really sciencey word that means an ecosystem that's made up of a specific environment and certain inhabitants. For example, where I live, the climate, aka oppressive humidity and summer heat with mild winters, plus the amount of rainfall and the soil are just right for loblolly pine trees. And apparently lots of squirrels. At least that's true in my backyard. Okay, we are way out in the woods now, and if I keep talking, you won't be able to see the trees for the forest. So getting back to the gut. What is your gut microbiome? Well, each of us has a unique collection of living organisms camping out right in our intestines. It may sound gross, but we need bacteria and fungi like yeast to create a healthy internal environment. It's super important for our immune system, brain health, and metabolism. We call all those microorganisms normal flora because normal flora sounds so much lovelier than a bunch of bugs living in your gut, doesn't it? We don't have time to cover gut microbiome in detail, but I will in an upcoming episode. It's fascinating stuff, and it starts even before we're born. And it's affected by all sorts of things you probably never even thought of. But here's the bottom line. The key to gut health is fiber. Therefore, the key to immune function, brain health, and metabolism are heavily influenced by all those little critters living inside you. Want to know how many critters are squatting in the mucosal lining of your intestine? Maybe you don't, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's estimated that for bacteria alone, there are somewhere between 75 and 200 trillion. Now, you may feel like my sister at this point. When she was very young, she told my mom that she saw Jesus in the backyard, and my mom explained to her, "No, Jesus lives in our heart." And she responded, "Well, get him out. He's making my stomach hurt." It may make your stomach hurt to think about all that lives inside your gut, but I'm here to tell you that when they aren't there, your stomach's going to hurt worse, along with a whole lot of other health problems. Okay, I mentioned squirrels earlier, and I may have chased one and gotten off on a tangent. So let's get back to fiber. Diet has a profound effect on your small intestine. Now, hopefully you want to eat nutritious foods for your health, but if you're trying to lose weight, this really might interest you. Appetite hormones are made in your small intestine. A diet high in fiber causes the small intestine to release PYY, which is an appetite-suppressing hormone, peptide tyrosine. But get this, the fiber found in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains helps the gut ferment bacteria so they can break down short-chain fatty acids, such as acetate, propionate, and butyrate. Then, these short-chain fatty acids bind to L cell receptors and stimulate the intestines to crank out GLP-1 into your circulation. And voila, natural appetite control at its best to help regulate blood sugar and maintain a healthy weight. Fiber and GLP-1 levels are very interrelated. GLP what? GLP stands for glucagon-like peptide. It's a hormone released in the small intestine that lowers glucagon levels and helps manage blood sugar by telling the pancreas to release insulin and stop releasing so much glucagon. It helps you feel full, so you eat less. We use the term of feeling full satiety. Think satisfied. What a great design. And it's such a fantastic idea that the drug companies copied it, and they created GLP-1 agonist. For all the details on how the weight loss shots work, I put a link to episode 126 in the show notes. It's called You Took the Shot, Now What? To review briefly, GLP-1 helps manage blood sugar by telling the pancreas to release insulin and stop releasing glucagon. So, a GLP-1 agonist pretends to be the actual peptide and binds the receptor so the process keeps rolling. And in a bit, I'll talk about certain foods that might trigger the release of GLP-1 naturally. But one thing is for sure, you can't stay on a diet when you're too hungry. because it will fail. And fiber helps you feel full and keep feeling full. Fiber is the key to healthy diet success and your gut health as a bonus. In fact, some people say it even helps maintain a healthy weight when you're eating foods that aren't so good for you. And that's because it traps calories. You know, kind of like Roto-Rooter, and away go troubles down the drain. I put a link in the show notes to the Power Foods diet. You might want to check it out. But there are way more benefits to a high-fiber diet, and most Americans don't get enough. In fact, only about 7% of people have an adequate intake. But where do you get fiber? I mean, you can't go to aisle 7 and look on the top shelf and find 2 different brands of fiber, although there are different kinds of fiber, and we're going to learn about that in a minute. But when I tell you, you should eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, you know you can go to the store and you can go to the produce aisle and buy a crown of broccoli and an apple. And then you can buy a can of pinto beans in the canned vegetable section, and you can visit the freezer aisle for some frozen spinach and frozen blueberries. You got it. But when the recommendation is to get 25 to 35 grams of fiber, well, you can't just go to the grocery store and ask someone, "Can you please tell me where the fiber is?" And besides, if your grocery store is anything like mine, there's no one around to ask anyway. And apparently the customer service calls aren't answered either. Seriously, every time I'm at the grocery store, they announce, "Customer service call line 1, customer service call line 1, over and over and over. Now, recently, I couldn't find what I needed, so I actually found someone in the store, and he kind of shrugged his shoulders and said he'd send someone to help me, but no one ever came. So I actually called the grocery store from inside the grocery store. And then the announcement started overhead, "Customer service call line 1. But it was never answered. So with my phone in my hand on hold, I actually went to the customer service department and waited in line with my phone on hold and the announcement repeating overhead while the customer service lady completely ignored it. You may be wondering at this point, what does this have to do with fiber? Well, nothing really. I just want you to know that when you go to the grocery store, you're on your own. So listen up to learn how to get enough fiber in your diet and why it matters. And it really does matter, because a high fiber diet decreases the risk of heart disease and stroke because of its effect on cholesterol and blood pressure. It can also lower blood sugar, thus lowering the risk for type 2 diabetes as well as obesity. And some studies show it even helps you live longer and decreases the risk for colorectal cancer and breast cancer. But it's also important in gut health, which we said plays a starring role in immune function, not to mention it helps you maintain a healthy weight. And it's critical for proper digestive function, like pooping. Turns out, cleaning out the pipes is really good for the colon to work like it's designed. Now, I should mention that if you increase your fiber, you may have abdominal bloating due to excess gas. Kind of sounds like one of those drug commercials, doesn't it? Eat more fiber and you will stick to your diet and improve your health. Side effects may include involuntary blowing of kisses from your intestine. Ew. So, like taking Ozempic, it might help to start low and go slow. But if it gets too windy, you should increase the amount of fiber in your diet slowly. We're going to talk a lot about where to find fiber and how to increase your intake. But first, let's go back to mini medical school and examine the different types of fiber and how they can improve your health. Fiber is made up of more than just one strand of roughage. That's what we used to call it. In fact, now the proper term is not actually fiber, it's dietary fiber. I mean, I guess you could confuse the general term fiber with the fringe that hangs off the end of a rug. Anyway, that's what my puppy seems determined to eat. But dietary fiber is actually a nutrient. There are two different types of dietary fiber, soluble and insoluble. And when I say dietary fiber, I'm referring to both. Now, I always like to start with definitions. Soluble means it's going to dissolve in liquid, either water or bodily fluids. And this type of fiber is found in foods like fruit, oats, and beans. It's made up of carbohydrates, but your body can't digest it. On the other hand, insoluble fiber does not dissolve in water and other bodily fluids. It's found in the cell walls of plants, like wheat and other grains. Think bran. And your body can't digest it either. Instead, it stays in the colon and does its job. Here's what happens. Soluble fiber is like Drano. It dissolves into a blob that travels through the body's plumbing system and feeds the bacteria in the gut microbiome along the way. And that is critical for health. This gel-like material is that calorie trapper that I mentioned earlier, and it mainly affects fats. So if fat is trapped in this glob, your body cannot absorb it. Therefore, cholesterol and blood sugar levels go down along with those calories. In turn, your risk of type 2 diabetes and heart disease is lower, your gut is happier, and all of that works together to lower inflammation in your body and improve digestion. Since insoluble fiber does not dissolve, it works differently. It soaks up fluids, kind of like a sponge, effectively scrubbing the lining of the colon on the way out. This helps your body be more efficient at eliminating waste, and that reduces things like chronic diarrhea or constipation, hemorrhoids, and diverticulitis. The result of plenty of soluble and insoluble fiber is a plumbing system that works well. And if I need to spell it out for you, it adds bulk to the stool, so you aren't straining. All right, you ready to sign up for more soluble fiber in your diet? Since nobody at the grocery store is going to help you answer that, here's a short list to get you started. Soluble fiber is found in fruits like apples and oranges, in vegetables like carrots, in grains like oats, and in peas, and all kinds of beans. I mean, there is a reason beans have the reputation they do. They also contain lots of insoluble fiber. So do nuts, wheat bran, and whole wheat flour. Veggies and berries also have insoluble fiber. Remember, dietary fiber is only found in plants, not in any animal products. In fact, most plants have both insoluble and soluble fiber. So eating a variety of fruits and vegetables and whole grains is very important. Your fiber needs vary based on whether you're a man or a woman and how old you are. Women under the age of 50 need 25 to 28 grams per day, and women over 51 need 22 grams a day. Men under the age of 50 should get 31 to 34 grams of fiber every day, and men over the age of 50 need 28 grams. Do you think you're getting the right amount of fiber in your diet? The daily consumption for the average American is 10 to 15 grams of dietary fiber, and that's not enough. So let's go fiber hunting and figure out how to increase daily intake and keep all systems running smoothly and naturally release some of that good old GLP-1 to control our appetite. First of all, start your day with oats or whole grain toast to get going first thing every day. But remember, you've got to read labels to make sure you aren't eating food with all the nutrients processed out. Avoid words like enriched. Sounds like a good thing, but it definitely isn't. Also, words like multigrain are just marketing tricks. And if you need a review on how to read a food label and avoid being fooled by labels, listen to episode 115. It's really one of my favorites. But here's the bottom line. Fiber content is found on the nutrition label on the back of the package. And really, you should just ignore everything that's on the front. It's just marketing. Okay, back to our oatmeal. You can add berries because they're a big boost in the fiber department, as well as they have other tremendous benefits. Raspberries contain about 6 grams of fiber per serving, and blackberries have 5. You could eat a pear with your toast, and you've added another 15 grams of dietary fiber. Or you could get 8 more grams with an apple. Just cut it up and add it to your oatmeal or a smoothie. Now, smoothies are one of my favorite things because they're easy to make, and it's kind of fun to experiment with different combinations. I always add whole grain oats and a handful of spinach. It does make it an unappetizing color, but you can't even taste it, so it's a great way to sneak in some leafy greens. You could add mango for sweetness, and as a bonus, you'd get another 2 grams of fiber. You can even add beans to a smoothie, and like spinach, you won't even know they're there by the taste. I'm going to tell you a little secret about adding apples to a smoothie. You don't have to cut them up. I usually cut them in half so they'll fit in the blender, and I do take the stem off, but I leave the core and the seeds right in there. It makes it so easy. Now, after you've started your day with a good breakfast, think about ways to top off your fiber needs for lunch and dinner. Avocados add 6 grams of fiber, but they are high in fat, so keep that in mind if you're trying to lose weight. But you can add those beans to salads, soups, and other dishes. They are so high in fiber. My favorites are lentils and black beans. I often share my black bean recipe with my email followers, so be sure and sign up. But I also like navy beans, lima beans, kidney beans, not jelly beans. Peas are a great choice, as well as sweet potatoes, and they're incredibly versatile and associated with longevity. They contain nearly 4 grams of fiber. Broccoli, artichokes, and Brussels sprouts are also high in fiber. And when it comes to fruits and vegetables, you need at least 5 servings a day. And remember to eat a variety of colors to get all the vitamins and nutrients your body needs. We say, eat the rainbow. Quinoa and whole wheat pasta make a great base for an evening meal, and they give you a fiber boost too, about 5 grams a serving, and quinoa is high in protein. If you're on my email list, there's a handout I share on the fiber content of various foods. And while that may be helpful, it still requires that you do a lot of planning. Besides hunger, the greatest enemy of your diet is lack of planning. We tend to eat what's available. If you ever wanted someone to plan out all your meals, give you the recipes, the grocery list, and any resources you need to make it foolproof, you're going to be interested in what I'm working on. So be sure and sign up for my email list, and you'll get additional resources like a free handout on fiber content in various foods, my black bean recipe, and more. Plus, you'll have early access to Healthy Eating Made Easy as soon as it's available. Just visit my website, www.healthylooksgreatonyou.com, or I put a link in the show notes. Now back to the issue of hunger. Since one of the biggest things that will derail your efforts to stick to a diet is hunger, I have some great news for you. If you're hungry, you should eat. That's right. Starving yourself is not necessary. Just grab a snack. Not cookies, crackers, or chips, but edamame for a whopping 10 grams of fiber. Other great choices are fruit or roasted chickpeas. I like to open a can, dry them off really good on a paper towel, sprinkle paprika all over them, and then roast them till they're a little bit crispy. Now you've got a snack that contains 12 grams of fiber per serving and tastes yummy, plus you can add it to a salad or other meals. Nuts and seeds are another great snack food that fills you up and adds to the fiber content, but they are high in fat, so remember, if you're trying to lose weight, take note. But hey, it's sure better for you than cheese dip. And you can also add sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds to salads. Sprinkle sesame seeds on top of vegetables and throw some flax seeds and chia seeds into a smoothie. Keep almonds, pistachios, and peanuts at the ready for snacks. But oats are still one of the best foods to set this cycle in motion and release GLP-1. Really, any high-fiber grain like whole wheat or barley, it's that good old soluble fiber working its magic. Now, remember I told you I was going to mention foods that may increase GLP-1 and therefore downregulate your appetite. You know what? I've kind of already mentioned them. But a balanced diet of adequate fiber, protein, and healthy fats is crucial. And when I say healthy fats, I mean things like nuts. I already mentioned almonds, pistachios, and peanuts because they may increase GLP-1 levels. Also, avocado, which is considered a healthy monounsaturated fat, may also increase GLP-1 levels and increase peptide YY. I mentioned that earlier in a previous episode, number 127, What Causes Weight Gain? And did I mention avocados contain fiber? Yes, I believe I did. But I didn't mention that you can buy them frozen. Yep, they're cut up in little cubes and you can store them in the freezer so you don't have to worry about eating them before they go bad. And no discussion about healthy fats would be complete without olive oil. I'm not talking about Popeye's girlfriend, but the unsaturated olive oil that comes from olives. By the way, did you know that you cannot eat an olive right off the tree? I learned this when I visited the Mediterranean. Apparently, they're just too bitter. Not that I tried. And this is not an agricultural podcast. It's a lifestyle medicine podcast, but I know you love to learn. So here's what happens. Olives contain a compound called glucosides, which create this bitterness. So they have to be cured. And this is usually done in brine, which is a mixture of sea salt and water. And they soak it for like 3 to 12 months, but they have to freshen the brine or it'll mold. Because, nobody likes moldy olives. And the reason I even mention all of this that I learned in the Mediterranean is to help you remember that olive oil is a staple in the Mediterranean diet. And there's so much data showing the benefits of a Mediterranean diet. It's the opposite of things like butter. We got to face it. Butter's not good for you. Think about alternative spreads like avocado or hummus, which is made up from chickpeas, so it's also high in protein and fiber. I hope all of this will motivate you to add extra fiber to your diet, keep your gut healthy, because healthy looks great on you. The information contained in this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not considered to be a substitute for medical advice. You should continue to follow up with your physician or healthcare provider and take medication as prescribed. Though the information in this podcast is evidence-based, new research may develop and recommendations may change.